Hello and welcome to the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. A big welcome to those who chose to come in person today. Thank you for being here. So grateful for those volunteers, making it possible. Wearing masks and washing your hands and being carefully ushered into this wonderful space. So good to see you. And welcome to all those viewers, especially those newly tuning in today. Welcome, welcome. We have an exciting program for you today. Some great music and incredible speaker. Be prepared for some culture and some wonderful, wonderful rhythmic music. As I've said before, I dare you to sit still. It'll be great to have our sound engineer and AV guy, Mr. Raj Harus, join Desert Wind today as part of the special music. It's so great to share his talents. He doesn't get a chance to be up here. He's usually back there running around. We're going to start by singing today, continuing our theme of inclusion in action. A song we'd love to have you sing along with us. Would You Like To? Written by our own Leslie Monroe.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning and welcome to Salt Lake Centers for Spiritual Living's Love streaming services and in-person services. We are delighted to say we are also having in-person services after so many months. Whoops. And it is so awesome to have you lovely people here today, either online or in person. Our practitioner holding high watch today is Farrell Zeman. Farrell will be in prayer knowing that this service serves the highest and best for us all. Our prayer practitioner here with us this morning is also Farrell Zeman. Farrell, who will be sharing and reading and leading us in prayer during our service. Our center is a spiritual community that teaches a philosophy for daily living based on spiritual principles. No princesses. Well, actually, princesses are okay. We accept everybody. Principles and practices that are universal among religions. We honor all pathways by which people seek to know and connect with the divine, and we work on our individual consciousness so we can help make the world a better place. With enthusiasm, please join me in claiming our purpose statement. We are an open, welcoming community, celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journeys of spiritual discovery. Thank you. I encourage you to sign up for our weekly email newsletter and for all the latest information about what is happening at our center and home office. You can always visit the announcement page on our website, spirituallyfree.org, or visit us on Facebook for informative chats. The overall theme for this month of August is Inclusion in Action. And today we have the awesome, endearing, and wonderful speaker, Rabbi Bachman, who will be speaking on the theme of Better Together. Every Sunday at 1 p.m., Reverend Myrna is hosting a community Zoom meeting. You can find a link and all the info needed to drop in on that Zoom meeting on our website. Also, the second Tuesday of every month, Reverend Myrna hosts Wizards and Crones. At this time, this meeting is taking place on Zoom, and you can find further information about this meeting on our website. Both of these Zoom gatherings are most excellent ways to get to know and stay in contact with other community members. Our practitioners are always available to provide prayer support. You can submit an online prayer request through a link on our website, or if you prefer, you can request a call from a practitioner, and one of our practitioners will give you a call post-haste. As we move into our service this morning, take some nice, deep breaths and allow Jim's reading, Farrell's reading, and the centering music to bring you fully present to the source of all life as Farrell also leads us into prayer.
Today's reading is from a little book by Ernest Holmes. The title of the book is This Thing Called You. I know that the law of God surrounds me with love and friendship. I permit this love and friendship to flow out to all things, to all people, everywhere. I let it radiate in my environment, bless everything I touch, make whole that which is weak, turn fear into faith, and accomplish the miracle of healing through love. Whatsoever things are good and true, I shall think upon them. I shall remember that the Spirit is not far off. I shall remind myself that I live in the divine presence, that my affairs are in the keeping of the eternal mind. I live, move, and have my being in wholeness. Peace, poise, and power belong to my kingdom. I give joy and love to all, knowing that the gift of life is not to me alone. I share my good. I welcome the opportunity to love fully, completely, and joyfully. I believe in myself because I believe in God. I accept life fully, completely, without reservation, holding to the conviction that God is the eternal reality, that God is the everlasting presence, that Christ within me is the eternal guide, that my life is complete today.
The God in me beholds the God in you. The God in me beholds the God in you. Spirit within me, Spirit around me, Spirit in all that I do. Wisdom and beauty and love born in all of us. I see the light within you. The God in me beholds the God in you. The God in me beholds the God in you. All is beautiful, all is well, all is beautiful, all is well, all is beautiful, all is well, all is beautiful, all is well.
As we join together this morning, I recognize that we are all one. We are individuations of the divine intelligence that is in all things, in every molecule of all things. And it is that life force that is within us that is the same life force that is in all living things and all people and animals and plants. And we are very blessed to have this consciousness within us that allows us to understand and explore and to experience the reality of this life. And so I am very grateful for this experience of life, this moment of awareness that has come into us as we practice the teachings that we hear and that we read and that we know, and that we feel that presence within us as our life, as our breath, as our gratitude. And so I give thanks for this and for this day. I give thanks for the very sustenance of the sunshine and the water and all of nature. And so in that gratitude, I simply release these words and let it be, as together we say, and so it is.
Unity does not mean uniformity. Oneness includes all the diverse of ideas and perspectives, and we need those. We might think we're right in our view of the world and how it should be, but we need other opinions and toss them into the soup that is humanity. But the theme today, Better Together, describes this song, or the meaning behind it. Daniel Nahmod wrote a beautiful song called Breathe the Same Air. It is about unity, but not about uniformity. We breathe the same air.
Well, it's an idea whose time has come. A new generation same sky, we breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. The future of history is crystal clear. The borders between us will disappear. Of the same small planet we are born, and there's no foreign country anymore. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, kiss the same sky. We breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. Well, some say I'm out of touch with the times. This world's no place for a vision like mine, but still I can see it, and still I believe that too many lives on the line. There's so many lives on the line. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, kiss the same sky. We breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, kiss the same sky. We breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. You and I.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to introduce our special music today. And I could go on for 2 minutes about this music group and our speaker today. Rabbi Alan Bachman, a newly ordained rabbi this year. I'll tell you a little bit of a personal story. My daughter, Amanda, was in college, and she had a social studies group, and wondered if I knew anybody that would come in and speak about public service. Now, Alan Bachman was a very busy person. He still is. Even though he's retired, he is just unstoppable. He served 30 years as his assistant attorney general. And during that time, he went to my daughter's college class and spoke. And I'm just so grateful for that. That's just one of the examples of his service to others. His music, he's studied at the Eastman School of Music in New York, and just born out of that, a curiosity about ancient music. We're talking thousands of years ago. The music you're about to hear is rooted in this authentic North African music, and it's wonderful. And as I said before, I dare you to sit still. This is his wonderful, beautiful wife, Andalyn Bachman. Alan Bachman playing the piano. And right after this, Alan will be giving us our message for today. So right after this song, we'll segue right into that. But let's have some fun with some great, great, authentic desert wind music.
Thank you very much. We're going to do a song we call Spider Woman. This is based on a Navajo Hopi legend, and it goes in with the theme of the today. I'm probably going to mess up the lyrics I just heard about we drink the same water, we breathe the same air. The legend of Spider-Woman is the whole idea that we're all part of the same web. Everything is interconnected. Sometimes I run into somebody who says, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God. And that's okay, although I usually don't believe it till they say that like right before they're gonna die. You know, if they say it at that moment, then I go, wow, that person really was an atheist. But what I think to myself, and I often say to the person is, well, do you think, I say, whatever that force is that connects us all and connects everything, humans, sentient beings, rocks, minerals, the whole universe, that to me is God. And of course, it may also be something more as a mystery. And so this Navajo Hopi legend with the words honors that.
There is a woman who weaves the night sky. See what she spins, how her fingers fly. She is within us, beginning to end. Our grandmother, our sister, our friend. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. She is the flow and we are the ebb. She is the weaver and we are the web. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Weave on, Spider-Woman. Weave on,
Spider-Woman.
There is a woman who weaves the night sky. See what she spins, how her fingers fly. She is within us, beginning to end. Our grandmother, our sister, our friend. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. She is the flow and we are the ebb. She is the weaver and we are the web. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Weave on, Spider-Woman. Weave on, Spider-Woman. Weave on, Spider-Woman. Weave on,
Spider-Woman. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches
she changes. Spider-Woman.
me, Rabbi Alan Bachman. Everybody.
Ready to go. Thank you. I think that introduction said a lot more about Rick Charette than it did about me. What an incredible guy he is. You know, we go to a lot of different places and a lot of different states, and there's nobody better than Rick Charette. I'll tell you, for what he does. Let's give him a hand, you know, because there's a lot of love for everybody who passes through, and with all his great talents, he still has so much of that love that he honors any bit of talent he sees in anybody else and helps prosper it. So thank you, Rick, for doing it. Helping make somebody else succeed is one of the holiest things you could possibly do. So the topic today is better together. So that probably explains why we didn't end up in a planet all by ourselves. And the very first, so here's the slide machine. Often, I was thinking to myself today, what would happen at the Sermon on the Mount? You know, if Jesus had one of these devices here, would it come out different? Would the loaves have turned into something else if there was a different slide ahead? I don't know. But it's an interesting device, and we'll see if I can make it work here by getting to the first slide. There it is. See, yay, we got to the first slide. So already, I think they did that so I could have a success experience. Okay, so there's Better Together. It was provided to me by the Center for Spiritual Living. How is our interdependency fruit for our spirits? How do we come to build the beloved community in our hearts, minds, and spaces? Then it gives a science of mind point of view, which I won't read, but you can see it right there, but I'll point out a highlight in it. There is but one God, but one mind, but one spirit, and one power. And as Rick so eloquently said before, sometimes that comes out in much diversity. Like there's one light, but there's still many colors to that light. See, if I click this again, oh, it went twice. Okay. I get to a slide about the 5 Book of Moses. So obviously, as a rabbi, I've got to talk a little bit about Judaism in this, which is one of the faiths that Ernest Holmes studied, the author of Science of Mind, a fantastic book where he studied all the major faiths and talked a lot about what they had in common and their characteristics. Obviously, if there's one God, this one God who travels and exists everywhere is going to affect people all around the earth and their religious philosophies. So let's go to the really big picture. The Torah, you know, these 5 books are called the 5 Books of Moses. Jews call it the 5 Books of Moses, have no problem with that name. But what's interesting about that name? Now we're going to the 45,000-foot level. Why would a title of a book of a people who identify themselves as being Jewish be called the 5 Books of Moses? Why would they use that name? And the reason I bring that up is explained as I can get to another slide, I hope. Wow, it takes a while to get used to this. Okay. So, how did Moses get his name? Well, he was actually named by the Pharaoh's daughter. Okay, so wow, the 5 Books of Moses, and the name Moses comes from an Egyptian woman. And so that ought to say something right there to all Jewish people and other people, Judeo-Christianity and other faiths. When they look at this faith, why is their major book named after a man, and they use that name? Why didn't they give him a Hebrew name after the Pharaoh's daughter named him? And she named him Moses, actually Moshe in Hebrew, which meant to the Egyptians to be drawn out of the water. Okay, and so that was a holy name because that's how she found him, drawing him out of the water, but the name stuck. Okay, so here he is. The biggest rabbi in our Jewish tradition is Moshe, and his name is Egyptian. Doesn't even have a Hebrew name. Okay, so that's one thing to look at the big picture there. Maybe there's something God's trying to tell us by that. And so if I can get this clicking right, get to the next slide. So let's look at the beginning, right? I've said this before here. Being a lawyer for now about 42, 43 years. When you become a lawyer that long, you actually forget the count. And so you're not really sure how many years it is, but it's somewhere around there. So God creates the first person, okay, and names that person Adam, okay, and says that that person's created an image of God, Adam, male and female. So this first person is an androgen, male and female. Now, God could have, if you're the Almighty, if you can create the whole universe, you probably could have created a person in Africa, a person in Australia, a person in Greenland, maybe if you're lucky, a person in Hawaii, but that didn't happen. It's just one person. So, like I said, if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. Okay, if you got something like that, you say it up front to the jury before they fall asleep or start thinking about, wow, when am I going to get out of this jury room, right? Well, God's the same way. If God's going to be involved with a holy text, you got something important to say it at the beginning, because as many of us grew up, probably looked at the Bible, we looked at page 1, page 2. By the time we got to the page where everybody begot somebody, we probably fell asleep. And then we started it again. But at least the main message was up front. Only one person is created at the beginning. Well, what does that mean? That means that every single person on the planet, in this philosophy, in this religion, all comes from one person. Everybody is related to everybody else. Nobody comes from a better family than anybody else. Everybody comes from the same root person. And that is intentional. All from one family. Now we can get a little Kabbalistic here, because the name Adam is made up of 3 Hebrew letters, an Aleph, a Daled, and a Mem. And to the Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics, the Aleph, in Hebrew, see, every letter is also a number. So the first letter, Aleph, is also the number 1. So that's key. Adam's name, first person, number 1, first letter of the name. Then the Daled stands for King David, because we're going through a lineage here. And then the Mem stands for the Mashiach, the Messiah. So the whole idea is, in the first person that's created is the Messiah in the Messianic era. Because God creates with the end in mind at the very beginning. And so you see that in the name right there. So what else do we find out in this religion that points us to our unity? Well, in September 18th this year will be Rosh Hashanah. That's the Jewish New Year. It happens every year, obviously. Okay, very important holiday when we usher in the New Year. Okay, and so one of the most critical days, like Jews, let's say, that never go to synagogue all year round, they might feel guilty enough to go, okay, I'll go on Rosh Hashanah. I better go on Rosh Hashanah and check out what's going on there. So the Torah reading that's picked on Rosh Hashanah, which is no accident, focuses on a woman named Hagar, who literally means in Hebrew, the stranger. That's her name. And she has this competition going with Sarah, okay, and she's sent out to the desert. The first time she goes out to the desert, she knows the desert pretty well. She actually sees, I'll use that word again, well, an actual literal well of water there. She knows the desert pretty well. The second time she's sent out, she's with her son, Ishmael. And Ishmael's not doing well. He's really dehydrated. And she's already been there before, but she really freaks out, like any mother would with a dehydrating son. Okay? And in all this confusion, which happens to most of us in our daily lives, she doesn't see that there's a well right next to her. Right next to her. So God has to literally open up her eyes. As you see there in this passage, opened her eyes and she saw the well of water. The whole idea is that these miracles are right under our nose. And we learn this at the new year, that everything we really need is provided for us. And if we can just get out of our confusion and get centered, we can learn to see all these miracles that are right under our nose. And it's even harder to see them when you wear a mask, by the way, but, every once in a while we get to take our mask off, like right now. Maybe we see the miracles, which is probably being here and seeing all of you. But the point is, who are we learning it from? We're learning it from Hagar, involvement with God. And Hagar is the stranger. So right there on which starts the holiest days of the Jewish year, we're learning from somebody who's not considered a Hebrew. But it goes further. So the next really super holy day is Yom Kippur. I'll get to that. But I might, while I'm still back in here, might notice that in Exodus also talks about how important it is to remember strangers. I think this may have gotten out of order here. Leviticus, also important about loving strangers. Before I get to Yom Kippur, I'll make this point too here. That notice it says, you shall love the stranger as yourself. I am Yud-He Vav-He. That's what you see in the Hebrew, the 4 letters Yud-He Vav-He, this mysterious interconnected name, Yud-He Vav-He. Why does it say Yud-He Vav-He? I am Yud-He Vav-He, after it says you shall love the stranger as yourself. Because what God is saying is, you better love that stranger as yourself, because that stranger is also me. I am God. So when you don't love that stranger, you do not love God. Okay, related to that theme, and this relates to what I just said about Rick Charette, and the holiness of it, it also says, I am the Lord, which really says in the Hebrew, I am the Yud-He Vav-He, after it says, you shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the line, but you shall be in awe of God. I am Yud-He Vav-He. Once again, now think about it. When you curse the deaf, do the deaf hear it? Probably not. You could be behind a deaf person and curse them, right? And this is saying, no. Just like Ernest Holmes would say, in Science of Mind, if you say something about that deaf person and you put it out in the universe, it has an impact, even though that deaf person can't hear it, and you are impacting God. You are impacting the universe. And that's why it says, I am the Lord. I am Yud-He Vav-He. Why? Because that deaf person is also part of God. And the stumbling block before the blind, that person is also part of God. Now, stumbling block before the blind sounds sort of negative. Let's put it positive. Instead of putting a stumbling block before the blind, make a pathway for the blind. That's another way of reading that scripture. And what does that really mean? If somebody has an obstacle, if you see somebody that needs help, help them. Make somebody's life better. Help somebody succeed. When you help somebody succeed, you are doing the holy work of the divine. Okay, now here's what I was getting into before about Yom Kippur, because I talked about Rosh Hashanah, how we learned from Hagar, we learned how to awaken at the new year, just like the whole idea of the Buddha, an awakening. Jewish New Year, awaken to the miracles that are right before you. Awaken that God is here in the universe with you, and you're never, ever alone. Well, on Yom Kippur, who do Jews learn from? Well, Yom Kippur is a day of atonement, right? So you'd think, okay, we got a great story about our ancestors, our Hebrew people, and how they really messed up, and then they atoned, and they did all the right stuff, so that's who we're going to learn from, right? No. We end up learning from a different group that has no relationship to the Hebrews, unless you go all the way back to Adam, okay. But in that thinking of that day, they have no relationship with the people of Nineveh. And so you read the story of Jonah on Yom Kippur. Every synagogue all around the world reads the story of Jonah. Why is the story of Jonah so important? Because these people of Nineveh, who are not Hebrews, they find out from Jonah that they've been doing some pretty bad stuff, and they're about to be doomed. So they put on sackcloth, they fast, they do everything to say, oh, wow, we really get the message, we're really going to change our ways. And then God, the universe, recognizes this, and these people are forgiven. So we learn about atonement and forgiveness from the people of Nineveh, not from the Hebrews. So once again, God is saying, hey, don't get so insular, folks. It's really easy to do in this religion. You got to look at others because you got a lot to learn from them. Another example. So you would think the lineage of King David and the Messiah would be pretty darn awesome. We just spoke about the lineage going all the way back to Adam because Adam's name is Adam, the Aleph, meaning the first person, the Daled, King David, and the Messiah. Great lineage. But who's in the middle of their lineage? Not going to get into big details here, but you can look at it. This be homework for home. The people of Moab, and I don't mean Moab, Utah, okay? This was a different Moab, okay? They didn't have an Arches Park, and they certainly didn't have a McDonald's. But, they were thousands of miles away. And Moab didn't start with, let's say, the holiest of acts that we would consider today, okay? But Ruth was a Moabite, okay? And then Ruth recognized the one God. Ruth ends up becoming in the lineage of King David. King David is directly related to Ruth. Once again, a person who was outside of the Jewish faith. Okay, at that time, you would think, oh, no, we're not going to have somebody in that lineage be, King David's lineage. But that happens. That's in there. And once again, for a reason. So we don't be so insular. Then, okay, there's a word. I have to always be careful when I say this publicly. Organismic theory. You say that wrong, you get in a lot of trouble these days, okay? This is a theory developed by a very holy rabbi of blessed memory, Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi. Okay, and his organismic theory, he's sort of like the next generation of Ernest Holmes in many ways in his thinking. They are both paradigm shifters, both very enlightened people. And Reb Zalman said, every faith is like an organ in the body. The body is like the whole. It's all the faiths, all the people put together, the earth, everything. Okay? And every organ in the body needs to be there to serve its purpose. Okay? And as I've said once before here, in our Jewish philosophy, God always creates the cure before the disease. This is why we should care about every species. The cure for cancer or some other disease could be in some plant, could be in a snail, could be in a rock, could be in anything. So everything is here for a reason. Everything's precious and everything should be preserved in its own way. Because you never know, just from a practical purpose, what is out there that is going to actually save us all. Okay. And so, according to Reb Zalman, every faith is like an organ. And you never know which belief has the cure for anything in particular. And so we got to check them all. It says in a very old scripture of Judaism, Pirkei Avot, a wise person learns from everyone. A wise person learns from everyone. And I think we're at the time now on the state of this earth, in the current paradigm shift, unfortunately, we're now capable of destroying the entire planet. Humans have been around for thousands of years. We now have that capability, which means that paradigm shift and the reality of the earth means that we need a paradigm shift as to how we think of our spirituality. And one way I think of this paradigm shift is these crises that we face on the earth are so large, we can no longer afford to be insular. Every faith that has something special in their medicine bag, in my opinion, has got to start sharing it. We have to start seeing what's in all these different medicine bags to get our act together. As Reb Zalman said, today a new reality map is emerging, which is based on this organismic model. It says that the earth is alive. This is new, okay? Because what Reb Zalman says, the paradigm, like even in the 19th century, was more about machinery and more about items and more about materials. But as we ended the 20th century, we went back to the ancient philosophy of Gaia, the whole idea that the earth isn't just an object, that it's actually alive. She is Gaia, the living planetary organism. Earth is alive in every part, every species, every part of the chain of life is integral and needed. Another major philosophy of Reb Zalman, during this paradigm shift, as I said, we have the ability to destroy the entire planet. So we have to look at all our faiths, because I think we had a God that went around the earth, went to one group of people and said, you know what, I really love you. You're just awesome. You're just the best. Just like a parent might do with a child. A parent might have 10 children and go to each one and go, wow, you're the best. You're awesome. By the way, I love you the most. By the way, please don't tell this to the other 10, or other 9 children or your brothers or sisters. They may get jealous, but I want you to know you're number one. Then the same parent goes into the next bedroom, maybe at night tucks them in and says, by the way, you're number one too, okay? Well, I think this is what God did around the planet, wanted everybody to feel special like they're number one. Well, that's great. In the old days, maybe when one person was an Australian and another person was Indian, they all walked around thinking they were number one. But now when we have the ability to destroy the entire planet, we can no longer afford this triumphal thinking that we really are number one and everybody else is number 2, number 3, or number 4. If we're going to survive, we must change this. And one of Reb Zalman's great gifts to the world is his writing about the importance of non-triumphalism. Doesn't mean we're not all great, but really it's not like, you know, even as Jewish people, I don't know how many we have on the planet, 50 million people out of 7 billion. We don't believe, really in our hearts, you know, when we really get down to it, that somehow God someday is going to walk down on this earth or make some pronouncement and say, you 15 million people, you got it all right. Everybody else, bow down to them. You're all wrong. No, that's not the way it's going to work. God gave these infinite gifts to everybody around the world. So non-triumphalism is going to be a key to human survival. And part of the paradigm shift, I mentioned the negative part of the paradigm shift, the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the idea that we can destroy the world. That's the negative part of this new paradigm we're in. But there's a very positive part to the new paradigm today, okay? And that is, for the first time in all humankind, we can see the earth from the outside. We can go way out in outer space, and you can see the earth, and what do you see? Do you see, like, the division between North and South Carolina? No. All these divisions on the earth are gone from outer space. And the bigger the perspective you have, the further out you go, the less likely you are to see any of these divisions. Maybe you see the division of water and earth itself, but even if you went beyond, like if you saw a planet from millions of light years away, you wouldn't even know that. Okay? But that's it. Now we can see a picture of Earth from outer space, no national boundaries, but rather an organic wholeness, a completeness. So that's the beautiful part of our new paradigm. We need to learn about it. So I don't know how many minutes I'm in on this, but I try not to go more than 18. So we're getting close to the wrap-up. I call this my harmonic theory, which is I did it for 2 reasons. One, so I don't get in as much trouble by, say, organismic theory. Okay, I had to come up with another name that's not so easy to screw up, or get wrong. Can you even say screw up? I don't know. Mess up. Okay, so harmony. Harmony is a safe word. And you heard a lot of harmony today in the music. So can you imagine if all you heard on this stage was a C note? Everybody just played a C note. I got to tell you, after an hour of just hearing the C note, you could get pretty darn bored. And I'll tell you one thing about God. I have this theory about God. We talk about omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. I think God can also be omni-bored. I mean, God can reach levels of boredom that humans can't even get close to. So sometimes when you're by yourself and you think, I am really bored, just think how bored God would be if we didn't have all this diversity. You know, so God probably has like 10 trillion cable channels. Okay, and that's what it takes to make God happy, probably. Yeah, you know, so, you know, with me, I'd probably get confused if I had that many channels. But anyway, this exists in music. So you have a C note, right? It can get pretty darn boring just playing the C note. But thank God, in this universe, we have other notes. And when you can play more than one note, you can have harmonies. A C note and a G note, for instance, can be a fifth. For the sake of argument, I'll call it a perfect fifth. Okay, a C and a G note, because it's a 3-to-2 relationship, which is way over our heads for today, so we won't get into that. But the point is, what happens when you play that C and G note? You hear something beautiful. Okay, and you can even add other notes to it and add more beauty to it. And what happens? It's synergistic. They both get stronger together. But here's the important part. The reason why we need all the species and all the different organs, whether it's a liver, kidney, whatever, everybody to have some sense of identity, is if the C note loses its identity and starts floating towards, let's say, a B note, okay, it no longer sounds good with the G note. In order for the C and G note to sound good together, they have to retain their identity. So that's why I call this my harmonic theory about how it's important to have identity, but it's also important to be together and be synergistic. Now for Lucky, that's my last slide, but I don't really know until I click this thing. Oh, so there's a blessing here by Reb Zalman. I guess we'll end with this. He says at the end of this great article, Reb Zalman of blessed memory, I want to ask the readers who have followed me, meaning Reb Zalman, to this point, to join with me in blessing the planet, the next generation, all species, all good intentions in people's hearts, all those who face burnout in their service to others, to the scientists and physicians who work in finding cures for cancer and AIDS, and I'm sure you'd add and COVID, for prisoners in our penal systems who want to start a new and better life, for the prisoners of conscience to be freed, for warring nations to find the way to peace and cooperation, for those whose time has come to leave their body to be able to do so serenely and with awareness, and for the children about to be born to become agents of blessings. And so it is. Amen. And that truly is the end. And thank you very much for the honor of being here in this holy place with all you holy people. You have no idea how grateful I am. I'm actually feeling a vibration up and down my body, which is sort of interesting. Doesn't happen all the time here, but it does happen sometimes. So many blessings, and so it is.
Blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I give. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so
So now is the time of our conscious giving, which in our center is another spiritual practice. This is not just about paying the bills or collecting money. Like every spiritual practice, we practice giving as a conscious choice. We choose to give and to give from an attitude of abundance, knowing that abundance of the universe is already available to us. So I invite you to hold your gift over your heart and feel the truth of what you say, as together we speak our giving affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Filled with gratitude, I let this be, and so it is.
All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me.
Now we'll hear some more from Desert Wind, Alan and Andalyn Bachman, and Raj Harus.
Thank you. So we're going to do a healing chant. The main words to this healing chant comes from Exodus 15:26, and this is why I picked it. Ki ani Hashem rofecha. I am the one. I'm the interconnected one who heals you. How does this take place? This scripture? Almost nobody knows about this. After the mixed multitude left Egypt, where they experienced these awful plagues, even if they didn't experience themselves, they saw it. And then the Sea of Reeds split, where all these Egyptians were killed. This was a lot of trauma. And to show that there is this Gaia, this living planet, the earth itself reacted to this trauma, and the people came upon this body of water that was really bitter, and it needed healing. And as I said, the cure is always created before the disease. So there was a tree by that body of water, and God says to Moses, take that tree, okay, which existed before this body of water was bitter, stick the tree in the water. So Moses sticks the tree in the water becomes drinkable and sweet. And then God says these very special words, I am the one who heals you. Ki ani Hashem rofecha, Ki ani Hashem rofecha, Ki ani Hashem rofecha, Ki ani Hashem rofecha. For I am the one who heals you. For I am the one who heals you. Ki ani Hashem rofecha, Ki ani Hashem rofecha. I am in your heart, I am in your bones.
I am in your heart, I am in your bones.
I am everywhere, you are never alone.
I am everywhere, you are never alone.
For I'll always be there close to you.
For I'll always be there close to you.
For I am the one who's in love with you.
For I am the one who's in love with you.
For I am the one who hears your prayers.
For I am the one who hears your prayers.
For I am the one who sees your tears.
For I am the one who sees your tears.
Don't give up on me, for I'll see you through.
Don't give up on me, for I'll see you through.
For I am the one who will heal you.
For I am the one who will heal you. La 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 la
I am in your heart, I am in your bones.
I am in your hearts, I am in your bones.
I am everywhere, you are never alone.
I am everywhere, you are never alone.
For I'll always be there close to you.
For I'll always be there close to you.
For I am the one who will heal you.
For I am the one who will heal you.
For I am the one who hears your prayers.
For I am the one who hears your prayers.
For I am the one who sees your tears.
For I am the one who sees your tears.
Don't give up on me, for I'll see you through.
Don't give up on me, for I'll see you through.
For
I am the one who will heal you.
Thank you. Let's remember, God just doesn't love us. God is in love with us.
Awesome. Thank you, Desert Wind. and Rabbi Alan Bachman. What a special day. Thank you for joining us. I wish you love and peace, everyone. Remember the message today. Unity does not mean uniformity. And we all come from the same space, the same source. And we were born of love. We are born of peace. We are born of unity. And we have the power of creation. We attune ourselves to the divine and create a wondrous life. And let's remember also to notice others who may be in need and extend an arm, lift them up, help push them forward gently. We can love each other. We don't have to be so divided. We breathe the same air and drink the same water, walk the same earth. Let's get along better. I invite you to sing our closing song, Together We Can Change the World. This is a wonderful new song by Leslie Monroe. Together we can say and we can change the world.
1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Humanity is calling to the ones who hear, whose vision is clear, where the veil of fear is falling, who pick up the pieces that are crashing down. The time is now. We came here to do this. The universe's symphony is about to begin. When we're gathered here as one and tuning in, together we can change the world. 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 We look on the bright side, it's an easy spin. When we all join in, there's more joy in the joyride. The moment we remember, our hearts expand, and together we stand in the sweet surrender. Side by side and arm in arm in a fusion of one, like the colors of the rainbow in the light of the sun. Together we can change the world. 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 Together, Ricardo. Together. Together. Together.